Sometimes in life, we are dealt with very unpleasant circumstances. A lot of what we want to control is, generally speaking, out of our control. And just like any tree that bears fruits, you can have some good apples, but eventually, as time passes, you're going to have to deal with the rotten apples as they come. That's just a rule and a general part of nature, similar to the sense that we are dealing with that side of life. Now, unfortunately, we have no control over a lot of the circumstances that happen to us, and in particular, we are very unaware of how to deal with these situations. I'm going to just say it straight off the bat. Regardless of what you've learned in this world, you can't deal with those trials, those hardships alone. And you need to really understand it from somebody as myself who has just underwent several people reaching out to me about how to deal with life and everything that it may throw at them. You really do need to find someone who you can trust with this personal information. Sometimes that someone can come in the form of a close friend, of a close family member. But I understand many people are dealt with very traumatic experiences. There's always going to be someone who you can relate to, someone who you can learn from at the end of the day. And if you truly learn how to deal with life as it comes, oh dear, you are truly equipped and have everything it takes to become the best version of yourself. And this is how you deal with life. You shrug off anything that may hurt you and you move on, because nothing lasts forever. Just like a tree that brings forward fruits in its season has good apples, eventually those apples will become bad apples. And you really have to understand that as those bad apples are present and apparent, it's up to you how you deal with them. You have to really understand the circumstances, the branches, and just the overall behavior of how people really respond to hardship. And it comes with dealing with yourself first. Think of yourself, and I bring up the tree, or you'll understand why. Think of yourself as a tree. In order for that tree to grow, you need to nourish it, you need to water it, you need to put it under good conditions. Presently, you will obviously run into tough weather conditions. Not every day is going to be sunny. You're going to run into some rain, and you will also really understand how to deal with life appropriately as the seasons come. You're going to have storms, you're going to have floods, you're going to have droughts. And as a tree, you have to learn how to adapt to these circumstances. And it really does come with, first of all, understanding your roots. It's a knowledge of self that really pushes forward a good agenda. How well do you really know your identity, your roots? How well do you know yourself to the point where you know what triggers you, you know what's good for you, you know what's bad, and ultimately you've got everything it takes to kind of understand those circumstances that really may not feel like much at the time. But the problem is with hardship. Here's one thing I'll say. You don't have a time frame for wishing it away. Eventually, you will you can run away from these problems with any result possible in your choice or in your favor at your will, whether it be through substance, which I do not condone, travel, which is a therapeutic approach, a change of scenery and everything. But eventually, these problems, like I said, as a tree, they're still going to be in your roots, they're still going to be in your psychological nature. And if you aren't present with your self-worth, your understanding of your nature, you really will make these problems worse. You will run into triggers that will heighten these problems. And like I said, you're not alone. There are many people who have dealt with your life, with your circumstances, with your trials, with your situations. You really have to understand that the best way to attack such a situation is to improve yourself, right? Stop going out to those clubs. Stop running away through substances. Explore the world more, but explore the world when you're ready, because understand this, when life hits you, you won't have what it takes to bounce back in the most effective manner unless you really adapt and come to terms and conditions with who you are as a person. And you just have to really understand that. You can't be using excuses or thinking about yourself as a victim. If you lose in life, which we all go through, failure, then eventually you have to learn how to pick yourself back up. And if you can't pick yourself back up, there are many people around you who can do such. There are many support systems out there, right? One way I can tell you I deal with life is I believe in something beyond myself. And more specifically, I'm not overly religious, although I am extremely hopeful for people who will enter into my life and have a positive impact. I understand that the people around me are very important. And ultimately, if I can't get right with myself, I can't really understand how I can expect to attract those positive influences. It really will come with a great burden and an honest challenge to expect something in the outside world when I know real happiness can be found from within. And once you let go and you understand how life really operates in extreme circumstances, you really do understand the general concept of kind of self-love, which is the only way you're going to get through it. You have to be comfortable in your own skin. You have to learn how to cut out those bad things that are really causing you to feel this way. And you have to ask yourself, what is it? Is it what I'm eating? Is it what I'm watching? Because what you put into your body will have the biggest impact on the type of person who you come out to be, right? In life, you can't control what happens. I understand. I've been through many things too. I've experienced everything from the corner of my eye that has dropped every teardrop possible. And I don't know, I can't explain to you personally why certain things happen to me. But one thing I can let you know is how I dealt with it was coming to terms with myself and truly understanding the image, the importance of having a vision, of having a goal, of having a will. And then I realized after a while, it kind of gets easier to cope with. Not necessarily life, but just understanding your general image and your general body and your vision. You start with the small blocks. I know I'm going from a tree to a block, but you really get the general idea of things. First of all, you really understand your life one step at a time, and you really start to equate value to everyone around you. You start treating other people with respect because you're on a mission, you're on a journey, and you understand that humanity is a collaborative process. What you're going through, and I'm going to let you in on a bit of a secret, we're all secretly going through our own battles, our own hardships. We all have our own personal problems. But it's how what makes everybody different in particular is how these problems are dealt with. And most times I feel like these problems are best dealt with by focusing on a long-term goal. Leave the past where it happened. It happened for a reason. You may discover that reason eventually. Reasons that may not be in our control. Like I said, life is not in anybody's position to judge or to control or to have any sort of say. But you really have to learn how to transform, how to adapt to change. And the moment you adopt those lessons, you'll start seeing things really transform in a positive angle.